Right. On to the second half of the mission, though that's probably a bit inaccurate to say considering this clip is longer than the last one. I guess someone forgot to install the elevator here. I suppose it was only a matter of time before someone managed to shoot me from behind because I checked the wrong corner first. Not that much of a mistake considering how many shots the enemy's going to need to take us down, but still, I'm getting a bit antsy about the boss fight we're gonna have to deal with at the end of this mission. While it's not gonna be the most bullshit fight of the game, it's still gonna be rather annoying, and like with the other fights, it just highlights how the game design just doesn't feel like it was built for that sort of thing. Okay, I easily could have slipped by that guy. There is no benefit to taking down absolutely everyone, I just kinda wanted to. Oh, son of a bitch, we're dealing with a repeat of the boss fight from the second mission. Still, it wasn't exactly all that dangerous the first time we fought it, just kinda awkward due to the control skiing. And we're gonna need to use the same awkward method of constantly looking up as we shoot at it for a while. Considering how short this game is, I'm pretty surprised that we have an outright repeat boss fight. If I remember correctly, this is the last ATST we're ever gonna see in this game. I suppose I should just be glad that there's no mission in the game that forces us to fight two of these things on foot in the same mission, or hell, the same encounter. It could have been a lot worse. But then it's not like I'm fighting this guy all that well at the moment, considering the amount of damage he managed to do to us before I got my axe together. Well, at least the ATST's health is lower than ours now. That's gotta be worth something. And that does it. Another destroyed ATST. And now I can't help imagining it landing right on top of Tash. It certainly would have been an hilarious way to die, though I'd have been kind of annoyed, since I wasn't able to control our character when it fell down. Should I bother asking why the Empire started to give astromech droids guns? And now we've got enemies shooting at us from behind. Definitely took a lot more damage than I strictly needed to around here. Guess I somehow lost my groove or something. Ah, well, there's plenty of healing items scattered all over the place. We should be able to get back in good condition by the time we make it to the actual main boss fight of the mission. Bloody hell, I'm just having some crappy luck in this building, aren't I? Really kind of funny that I've been bothering to grab so many weapons over the course of the game when I've been sticking with the basic blaster. Sure, a good number of those weapons will be useful when we go to fight against the boss in the 9th mission. That one is just gonna be absurdly brutal to deal with, and I'm resigned to losing quite a few lives when we go up against the damn thing. I bother asking why 2 stormtroopers and an army trooper were standing around in this random corner of the base? It would certainly make more sense for droids of some kind to be sitting in some random place. But again, this game isn't trying to make sense, and it was released in a time when games didn't bother trying to be all that sensible. At least not all that often. I'm pretty sure that Perfect Dark was the only real game on the N64 that took itself especially seriously. I suppose you could also include the 2 Legend of Zelda games, another series that I probably should get started on at some point, but dear God, I've got far too many other things to work on right now. Okay, certainly plenty of dead ends here. Granted, I damn well did remember the right button to push to let us move on the fastest way, but much like with that guy who was standing at the platform when we first arrived, I just feel this need to clear out every area we come across. Bit of an unfortunate instinct for me to have to deal with, and I only seem to be able to fight it off when the game does something to make that sort of instinct seem especially stupid, like give us very limited resources, or, well, just have them spawn infinitely. Well, those are certainly rather large fans, which are moving so slowly they probably aren't able to generate any wind anyway. And now I'm wondering why the hell I'm visibly playing worse in this half of the mission compared to the first half. Seriously, it's the same damn recording session. I did not take any breaks when playing through this mission, but here I am, just taking every bit of damage possible as we keep pushing forward. Seriously, I'm just getting torn apart here. Well, at least we're getting healing items even in this odd ventilation system. Well, at least I avoided the fans on the way down this time. I suppose that's something. Why the hell aren't we locking onto that droid? Yeesh! Not sure if it's something about the difficulty setting or something else, but we should have felt a lot more accurate against those robots there. Well, we're certainly seeing the limits of the jetpack now, though we're really not in any hurry. We can take our time grabbing all the healing items we want before we move on. Probably not the best place to shoot at the bastard from. Well, at least the bodies last long enough to hit the ground in this game. That's honestly pretty surprising considering how old this game is. Should I bother asking how the Empire is supposed to traverse this place since jetpacks apparently aren't standard issues? Seriously, we grabbed this jetpack from the Imperial Observation Post, but we haven't seen a single trooper with a jetpack as we've moved through this base. I'm sure that's because the game designers would have had a hard time finding a way to make fighting against people with jetpacks fun. especially with the iffy auto-aim and how annoying it is to look up in this game's controls. Another probe droid, huh? And great. I just couldn't hit that bastard a single time. Well, at least I managed to take down the second one. Again, doesn't really matter how many of them we take down, just that we get to the boss at the end and beat him. Well, my accuracy certainly looks like Dash should be joining the Stormtrooper Corps at this point. That's really not making me feel all that confident in the fight we're going to end up in later on in this same bloody mission. Ah well, Dash is still proving himself a capable enough fighter, even if it's pretty easy to see why he's a rather forgotten character in the Star Wars franchise. Seriously, people like to talk about Revan from Knights of the Old Republic, Starkiller from Force Unleashed, Kyle Katarn from the Dark Forces Jedi Knight series. I have never heard anyone say anything about Dash Rendar. Well, it's been a while since we've seen an elevator. I was starting to think the Empire went over budget for this base and couldn't afford any elevators to make it easier for them to get from one floor to the next. I know, one of the biggest things about the Empire is that it's got an obscenely massive budget to the point that they could build 2 space stations the size of a goddamn moon. The Emperor seriously doesn't give a damn how wasteful it is, just so long as his Empire gets to seem menacing and scary to anyone who can't fight back. Not that Star Wars ever really seems to give you a sense of the monetary situation for the Rebels or Empire. Doesn't look like there's anything else in here. Time to get the door open and jet over there. Well, that guy was certainly fast on the trigger. Not the best sort of last line of defense, but hey, they got some shots off. Not every stormtrooper can say that. Anyway, up the final elevator we go, so we can start the boss fight that'll finish this mission. And here he is, the man, the myth, the legend who is in many ways overhyped, Boba Fett. Is it just me, or has every character who has ever shown up in the era of the original trilogy had an encounter with this guy? I know, it is awesome to fight against him and all that, but again, I do not like how this game handles boss fights. Fett is the only other person in the game who has a jetpack, and he uses it quite a lot. I'd probably have fewer issues with this if I was fighting him with a keyboard and mouse, so I could more easily look up and down. But taking him on with an N64 controller, dear God, there is no good control scheme for this fight. And I have just resigned myself to taking casualties trying to take him down. His speed and mobility are enough of a pain in the ass. But then you've got to add in the fact that he's got missiles and a flamethrower. He can switch to those in a hurry, and he can do a much better job at tracking us as he shoots than we can trying to shoot at him. Hell, I'm pretty sure if we tried to shoot Seeker missiles at him at all, they would just veer off target, even if I fired them straight on him. A little hard to tell, though, since I don't think those Seeker missiles track any of the bosses at all, which makes the idea of using the Seeker missiles just that little bit more pointless. I suppose they're rather good against the recurring enemies in this game, the various low-level grunts we're supposed to fight through on our way to the boss, but... Yeah, probably gonna get killed again. I should probably be using our jetpack to at the very least grab the healing items that are spread out across this awkwardly made area. On easy difficulty, we'd be seeing the larger boxes that would give us 20 health for running over just about every platform. At least if I remember right. Now I think it's just one. Yeah, I can definitely see how this would have looked like an awesome idea for a fight on paper. Right, that makes 2 deaths in the same boss fight for 4 deaths in total in this game, both times to that bloody flamethrower. Well, I certainly appreciate the fact that when we respawn, Vet's health is just as low as it was when we died, so we are making progress. I again feel that this game is not in any way designed to actually pull off the boss fights we have to go through. Seriously, not one of them is an encounter I would enjoy going through outside of just enjoying the game in total. This is... yeah. Right. Just one hit away from losing our 5th life of the game. My mistake. It was 2 hits. I'm sure there were plenty of ways I could have done this better, and I might have been more willing to do them in easy difficulty, like staying more mobile and all that. But with the way that this difficulty makes our own aim less steady than it would have been on easy, and the fact that the enemy is more accurate than they would have been on easy, I don't think that would have been such a good idea. Dear God, that flamethrower is such a pain in the ass. That makes 6 lives lost. Huh. Guess he didn't like the idea of landing directly on top of us. How many missed shots have I sent out in this one fight? And that does it. We're done with the very dangerous first phase of the fight. And now we're dealing with Vet's ship, the awkwardly named Slave One. It's also rather awkwardly designed. Seriously, this thing was not built to get into any actual fights. Not against infantry or other aircraft. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the gun on the bottom was retrofitted onto the thing, instead of being part of the ship's original configuration. And I'm sure on paper, this thing was supposed to be a lot more menacing and scary to deal with in this game than the man who flies it. But so long as you stay as its side instead of getting in front or behind it or even just below it, the ship can't actually retaliate against us at all. It can be very relaxing in comparison to the first phase, but I'm afraid I'm so damn impatient. that I'm pretty sure I accidentally get myself killed here. Yeah, that makes 7 deaths in this game as a whole, 5 of them happening in the boss fight section where we're dealing with Boba Fett. This isn't exactly what I'd call as difficult as a boss fight out of Dark Souls or Elden Ring, but it's still not exactly pleasant for me to go through. Hell, in some ways I'd say that the fight against Fett is one of the lowest points in this game for me, when I damn well know the game designers meant for it to be one of the most awesome moments. I'd probably be less likely to groan and moan about it if it wasn't for the fact that the Army Men Sarge's Heroes games, along with GoldenEye, World Is Not Enough, and Perfect Dark, showed that the N64 is certainly capable of pulling off a shooter despite only having one control stick to work with. Hell, I'm pretty sure that if it wasn't for the boss fights in this game, the game designers wouldn't have been anywhere near as generous with how they give us extra lives. And while it might be possible to be able to go through all 10 of the missions in this game without losing a single life, I can't think of how I could pull that off. Ah, well, that's another mission completed. Just 5 more to go, and this game is done. And none of the other missions were as long as this one.